Hi, Henry Reinga with Brian DeCook, and Abby asked us to share something so exciting in this ministry that's going to be launched in the next several weeks. I know that I'm excited about soul centers. So
Yeah.
Brian,
Yeah,
what
so
are
my-
soul centers?
Well, President Reinga, the soul centers are places first, places where souls are ministered to,
Yes.
right, in a geographic location. But it's not just a church.
Yeah.
You know, some of us, our way of thinking is if ministry's happening, it has to happen at the church.
Right.
Right. But our Christian Leaders Alliance members are ministering in hundreds of different types of ministries,
Yes.
right? Not all at a church. Probably the majority aren't at a church.
Right.
And so we want to provide an avenue for those ministries to be recognized as being led by credentialed CLA members.
Wow.
So, for example, so we're calling these soul centers.
Yes.
Right? Any place where a soul is ministered to. And so I have a soul center. An example of a soul center might be I meet with a young man from our church every week at 6 o'clock in the morning on Thursdays for coffee and discipleship, a little mentor ministry, right?
Oh.
But it's not a huge mentor ministry, just this one
Right.
person. So we're going to call that a fellowship soul center.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or it could even be a little mentor
It could be a
center.
mentor center. Fellowship
Yeah.
could be a mentor center. But we're going to recognize that. And
Yeah.
as a credentialed CLA member, I'm going to be able to go to our website, soulcenters.org, in the near future. We're getting this in place.
We're going to show you the link today so you can
Yeah.
click around a little bit.
And I can register that soul center as a fellowship soul center, mentoring. And I can send someone to that soul center listing that might be interested in being discipled by me. And I say, well, you know, I am doing discipleship. Here's my listing at the soul center, and it will link to my directory listing in
Right.
the
Your
in the
credential
alliance,
directory,
where
so
my
people can
credentials
see
are
your
displayed.
credential. Mhm.
So it's a place where you can send people to see what you're doing, that you're credentialed, and also just to show other CLA members that might be coming to your location, your town one day, and say, I wonder if there's anybody doing ministry here.
Wow.
And they'll be able to find it.
So there will be different types. There will be the fellowship type, and that's going to have a lot of possibilities for you.
Okay.
There's going to be a wedding efficient ministry type, and in this one we kind of singled out because it's very popular and people love the opportunity to be wedding efficient, so we're going to put that into its own type. Then there's going to be a type for practices, like a coaching minister
Yes.
practice
Yeah.
and other practices, a prayer practice in your community.
Yeah.
Then there's going to be a church or house church one where you can register as a church. If you're a pastor and you want to register your church as one of our soul centers because you were trained here, or you're at a church that's called you and the leaders say, yeah, we want to be on that network through you, the credentialed minister, you can become a soul
Yes.
center.
Yes.
And then there's, of course, ministries, all sorts of ways, and I could just imagine the various ministries that can be registered at the
Yeah.
Soul Center.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking yesterday with the Global Ministers Commission, and we
Yes.
had members there who were
We
doing
showed them what we were
a
doing.
book club,
Yeah.
which would be a fellowship soul center.
Yes,
Another does Gladys Kabui in Kenya does trauma healing ministry.
that's a practice.
That's a practice soul center, ministry practice soul center. And so everything that CLA members, credentialed CLA members are doing in ministry, there's a place for it
Yes.
as a soul center.
Yeah, and then the last one is the mentor center. We know when you come into CLI, we often talk about mentor centers, but we've never given a formal place where you can formally register your mentor center.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at the soul centers, you can do that. You know, for me, Brian, this is just so exciting for our members of the Christian Leaders Alliance. And this is that credibility, that confidence that comes that you've done your training, through your credentialing process, and you have a tangible place of ministry.
Yeah, many times we're at churches that are large, or they just can't accommodate the ministry that we're called to, or that
Yes.
we're doing. Maybe we've gone to the pastor and said, Pastor, I'm doing this, will you recognize my ministry or my credentials? And they just say, well, it doesn't fit here. And that's okay.
Right.
They've got to do what they're called to do and where the Lord leads them. But what we're doing through the Soul Centers is providing an avenue for you as an Alliance member who's in ministry to be recognized,
Right.
and be part of this network of revival leaders who are out doing ministry just like you're doing in a different soul center, in a different location, but we're partnering.
Now, a couple of details. Every 3 years, there will be, and this specifically, that you need to renew your good standing credential, because we are serious that these soul centers are not just going to kind of, you say, nothing's happened, but it's still there. No, you're in this to win this, and this is important. We're also requiring that you're a vision partner of any amount. And you're in this, you're with us, this is the way it is.
You're invested.
You're invested. And we're going to start a registration when we just launch it as a free registration. Down the road, there'll probably be some fee because we have staff people that must, in fact, take care of all this. But when it's launched, get ready. Vision partnered, credentialed ministers, vision partners at any level will be able to participate with this and sort of bring your ministry to a place, a geographic location that will be registered on the soulcenters.org. What is the deal with soul? Let's talk about that. Like, again, when we have a registration class that you'll be part of, we're going to explain the details of why Soul Center. But how does that strike you?
Well, we've talked about this. I've been down here with you for a couple days this week, and it's been awesome to spend time here and
in Florida.
In Florida, and you've talked about the soul and how modern psychology, current psychology, is moving away from the position that we even have a soul.
No, they basically say that a soul is an illusion. All we are is material. That you can use a soul as a metaphor, but all there is behavior, and we can drug behavior. We can try to address behaviors. But secular psychologists now say there is no soul, and that's what they're teaching.
Yeah, that's not what the Word of God says.
Well, Genesis, we're made male and female, and then God breathed life into Adam, and he became a living nephesh, a soul with a body and a spirit, a soul that can think, and a religious soul, a heart that can act in a direction, and bowels of compassion is actually the ways it's talked about in the Bible, that love comes out of the bowels of compassion. So we are souls fearfully and wonderfully made by God. And we believe that people realize this, despite what secular psychology is saying, that people realize that that there is an answer. St. Augustine said, "My soul finds no rest until it rests in thee." And so soul centers are sort of to us, a way to communicate to the world that ministry is going to happen. And ministry is going to happen in a community. So we're excited to announce this on the news.